Evening, Scott. How's it going?
Hi, Mike. How are you?
Doing good.
I forgot to remind Kristen, and I reminded everybody else about an hour ago. There we go. It's taking me a little getting used to doing this on a Wednesday evening. It's one of those things I found the older I get, I get so used to something being in a certain place. And when I move it for probably a good reason, I still continue to go to that certain place looking for it or, grabbing for it or whatever until it finally clicks up here that, hey, you've moved that. All right, let me hide this over here. We are at what, 7:01. We'll give it another minute or two, see if we get anybody else to pop in. It's Kristen.
Hi there.
Hello, how are you this evening?
Oh, I'm doing all right. How are y'all doing?
I was just telling Mike, taking a little getting used to Wednesday evenings. Uh, but then again, Sunday evening felt
Yeah.
very strange for me as well. It's like, hold it, aren't I
Yeah,
supposed
it'll take its time. We'll get there.
Yeah, it takes a little while for it to like work into the creases of the brain. But and I didn't come up with anything real exciting, I don't think, to talk about tonight. Kristen and I briefly mentioned what part of our conversation on Monday evening's chat. Um, but let's see. We're at 7:02. Almost ready, probably to click to 7:03. Yep, right there. So we might as well kind of get started. I'm going to start as I normally do and welcome everybody to the South Carolina Cannabis Conversation online, the 2021 version. Um, we now is shifted to a Wednesday evening instead of a Sunday evening. We were sort of talking about that a few moments ago. But welcome everybody who's with us here on the Zoom call. Anybody that's also watching us live on our YouTube channel, and anybody who's watching later as a recording on our YouTube channel, welcome, welcome, and welcome. I do want to start with our statement that all of our meetings are an environment of education and awareness and are not an open market for the sale, purchase, or distribution of cannabis. We do not encourage or condone illegal behavior of any kind. Let me close that little window up there. That's not a COVID cough, I hope. Let's see. Oh, so wanted to kind of discuss tonight a little bit, efforts moving forward, and primarily lobbying in sort of the pandemic COVID era here. Um, Last week we discussed, and I think because it was our first time on a Wednesday, um, uh, participation was varied. Um, but we talked a little bit last week about the, oh, I'm going to share my screen and show it to you if I hit the right button here. Share screen. Go up here and switch tabs. Okay. Our friends at Cannabis Forward. Cannabis Forward is up in the, I believe, Greenville area of the state. I'm not sure if that's considered the Midlands or the Highlands up there. Um, the Cannabis Forward is up in the Greenville area, and they are another one of the state's cannabis advocacy groups. Cannabis Forward does primarily, kind of like some of the others, focus on the medical aspects of cannabis, and that is kind of what they're looking for from their lobby day on January 20th. Um, I had discussed last week briefly about, well, if Cannabis Forward's doing a lobby day, why do we need to reinvent the wheel? And let's just go ahead and support and promote their event. And I will continue to do so. But also part of our conversation tonight is the consideration of doing a South Carolina normal lobby day. I'm thinking probably a little closer to the beginning of February, kind of between when the S-150 Compassionate Care Act gets out of its subcommittee, and probably a week or so before it goes to hearing in its the Medical Affairs Committee. The reason I'm kind of saying that is that here at Normal, we kind of look at a variety of aspects of cannabis, not just the medical aspect. And because, as we've talked about in our other conversations, we know that there's already been pre-filed bills involving blanking already, civil asset forfeiture and decriminalization. And that's where I think it would be to our benefit to not only be involved and promote Cannabis Forward's Lobby Day and pushing the Compassionate Care Act and educating our legislators and letting them know our position on that on the 20th of January, but then also to do another one where we're promoting not only the MORE Act, or I want to say the MORE Act, we're not at federal level, the Compassionate Care Act, but also the decriminalization and the civil asset forfeiture bills. We want to fill them in a little bit more about that and include that into our scripts. With that thought in mind, I don't know, and I'm going to scroll through here real quick. I do not see that Cannabis Forward has drafted any particular type of script for these phone calls. They did kind of note that if you're contacting your senator, it's the Senate Bill 150. If you're contacting your representative at the House, it is House Bill number H3361. And so, but as I even say here, if you forget the bill numbers, mention the Compassionate Care Act. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Kristen, you and I were talking about drafting our own scripts, our own phone scripts, and directing either to specifically the Senate or the House of Representatives, and then talking, in those scripts specifically to the bills that that we want them to be concerned with. We don't want to be talking to a Senate member about a House bill and vice versa. So thank you for confirming that for me. That is what I think we thought we talked about the other day. And what we're looking to do is draft phone scripts and post them onto our political action page on normalsc.org, and then set a date and do our own virtual lobby day as well. Like I say, participate with Cannabis Forwards. Let's talk to our legislators about medical. But then on the South Carolina Normals Lobby Day, we want to address the other bills as well. We have to be careful not to bombard them with too much information at one time. So I think we'll probably have to keep the scripts. I'm not sure what the word I'm looking for is, modest, brief, but I don't want them to be so brief that they're not informative. But anyway, that's kind of what we're working on for South Carolina normals aspect on it. And of course, I thought I'd throw it out there and see what you all think of anything that maybe we should include into those letters or into those phone scripts as we're preparing them for a lobby day. I want to throw that out there before I move on to kind of what Virginia Normal did. Now I got to go find it. There we go. Okay. We'll be working on drafting those. I say we when Kristen's really doing the work, the hard work on it and laying out the basis of it for us. This is a lobby day planning kind of guide that was put together by Virginia Normal. And now this was kind of put together pre-virtual lobbying lobby days, pre-virtual lobbying. So it may have some points in it that aren't necessarily applicable. There's the word we're looking for. But just kind of, I'm going to go over it real briefly with you. I don't want to get into a whole lot of detail, but of course we want to understand the political landscape of our community. This to me is still sort of confusing sometimes because here in South Carolina, we have Republican majorities in both the House and the Senate, and it is Republican-sponsored marijuana bills that are moving forward. There is a Democratic-sponsored marijuana bill, but it is kind of going nowhere. And I don't know a lot about the political realm and how it works and doesn't work some days. But my assumption, and I've heard this from other advocates, is that it doesn't seem that the Democrats are really out there submitting a whole lot of medical marijuana bills. And I believe part of what it is because there are actually Republicans doing it here in South Carolina. And the other part of it is because having a majority of Republicans in both the House and the Senate here in the state, Democratic sponsored bills tend to get nowhere pretty quick. I may be confused on this, and somebody can educate me on how it works. I'd be happy to know, but it just seems a little bit counterintuitive here in South Carolina compared to, I think, the national landscape in many other states, should I say, not most, but and so anyway, I want to just kind of briefly mention that in understanding the political landscape. I guess part of it is I'm not sure I understand it completely sometimes. Identify the bill sponsors and co-sponsors. I must admit, Jill Sling with Compassionate Care Alliance has been doing a pretty good job on their site of kind of posting information about bill sponsors for S-150 and asking her followers to contact them and thank them for being co-sponsors and acknowledge them and that type of thing, and also then asking their followers to contact their own legislators if some of these aren't their own and ask them to become co-sponsors. So they're doing a real good job on that. And going through this, it does talk about that type of thing. You want to follow up. You want to thank them. Prepare a realistic legislative agenda based on pending legislation as strategic goals for the session. Of course, here in South Carolina, we do not have voter initiative at the state level, so we can't do a ballot initiative. We can't do a vote at the state level. Our voter initiatives are at county and local municipality kind of level, city, state, city and town. And I see Jolie's on with us. She could tell us a little bit more about decriminalization with a no fine, no time, no court cost type decriminalization. We've attempted that here, and it just seems to have been a challenge to us at this point to get the signatures we need. And COVID's put a big damper on a lot of that. I'm seeing notes up here that there's information in the chat. Oh, somebody said to speak up. Does that help? I just moved my microphone. Let's hope so.
Yes, that's better.
Okay, sorry about it. Was up there on top of my head. I forgot to bring the mic down, mic boom down. My bad. Let me move that chat window here so I can watch it. So, and where we are, I think, with this point in preparing a realistic legislative agenda based on pending legislation and just strategic goals for the session, as much as I'm not a huge fan of um, the Compassionate Care Act in either its House or its Senate version. I do prefer the House version. The House version allows smoking of flower and the sale of flower in the dispensaries. I believe the House version allows for two additional qualifying conditions, maybe three. I forget the exact numbers on it. Um, and compared to the bill last year, last session, it has improved. Is it the best medical bill that we could get here in South Carolina? No, not by a long shot. But the problem I see is what we would consider in many cases a good medical bill probably wouldn't pass in South Carolina. So we have to sometimes keep in mind what's going to be able to move forward, what's going to pass. As I mentioned, there is a Democratic sponsored medical marijuana bill. And I believe that one is even more. That one includes home grow. So that's even a little bit more flexible and consumer friendly. Um, but it's a democratically sponsored bill, and I don't see a companion bill to it, sort of like Compassionate Care Act. So I don't see it going very far anywhere. And I agree with Bob's comment on, some of the bad language is still in there. There is one if, medical cannabis is diverted out of the system, that is to be considered a 5-year penalty felony. Uh, And so, yeah, there is other language in there that uh, is not good. Like I say, it's not a perfect bill. It's not a great bill, even. I have a little bit of a hard time calling it a good bill. Um, but I am not born and raised in South Carolina. And so I'm trying to learn the landscape and the atmosphere here. And it's my belief, at least for now, that you know, some of those things are going to be detrimental to moving the legislation forward as much as we think that they need to be there. Well, I'm getting don't settle for anything that isn't good and not perfect. It might be the worst bill in the USA. I can't deny that. And you all are welcome to chime in, turn on your mics whenever you like, but I like the chats as well. Uh, I can't deny that. I don't argue with that. I'm just trying to think what might actually get something passed. This is the third session that a medical bill has been sponsored by Tom Davis. Uh, would I love to see the best bill that's already working in another state submitted here? I would love it. I don't know who would submit it, and I don't know who would maybe do a companion to it, and I don't really know if it would move forward in South Carolina's Republically controlled Senate and House. Yeah. I'm assuming everybody else can kind of read some of the chat with me. Um, that's the Senate bill. The House bill does allow the flower and doesn't allow smoking of the flower. And the uh, Democratic sponsored bill is the one that we support the most as far as a normal organization. And by all means, if that's the one you support the most, I'll pull up the number on that for you. And that's the one that you lobby for. I mean, that's kind of what we're here talking about tonight is lobbying. And that would be the one then to try and move forward. I've just watched too many other states. Pennsylvania, where I'm originally from, when they first brought in their medical, had no flower available. Most of the states that have had that kind of thing done in their initial medical marijuana bills, that's been changed. It's been amended usually within a year, which means in South Carolina it might be amended in 3 to 5. Uh, um, I don't know. Um, Again, I push stronger and that's why I decided that we think we really need our South Carolina lobby days is we need to push hard on some of the decrim legislation and the civil asset forfeiture legislation because I think that benefits more of our citizens um, than a very, very, very restrictive medical bill. Um, so I'm not going to talk too much more about those medical bills. We've kind of discussed those in our other week's discussions. I want to kind of go through some of the lobbying things if we can here today. Um, so as Cannabis Forward is done selecting a date, they have selected a date already of the 20th, which I believe is a Wednesday. I don't have my calendar open in front of me. And I think that, midweek like that is probably one of the better days. Yep, that's a Wednesday. Hide my calendar. And next, I'm going to bring my calendar up because I want to, while we're talking here tonight, I think I want to look at an early February date that we should probably pick. I know I had talked earlier in the actually late last year in one of our other cannabis conversations on planning a lobby day like around the second week of February. I think I may have even mentioned the 9th. I'm not sure when the S-150 is going to come up for its actual committee hearing, but I'd almost recommend we kind of look at Wednesday the 3rd. It's still a couple of good solid weeks after Cannabis Forwards. It gives us an opportunity to hide that from my screen here. Gives us a little bit of a leeway so we're not hammering them twice in a row. And then set up our own lobby day right about that time and push all of the legislation that we want to support. Now, what we're doing is we are drafting some scripts, and it is up to you entirely if you do not agree with what the language of the script or the bills that it may be supporting to pick and choose or add or delete the script before you utilize it. Good example would be on the medical bill. What we're probably going to do when we draft these scripts is we are going to list both. I think they're both House versions. The House version Compassionate Care Act, and there's a House version Put Patients First, I believe, is what that one's called. Do I have it in front of me? Sorry, bear with me. I have a bunch of Put Patients First Act right there, H3174. I've got some other paperwork on my desk here. We're finally getting some of our organizational filings with the state taken care of, and I've got a little pile here I've got to sort through. But anyway, there's the decrim bills, the forfeiture bills that I've mentioned before, and those are the ones that we'll incorporate into our scripts. If while you're utilizing the script and you say, well, I'm contacting my House members, and I'd really rather suggest to them that they co-sponsor, Rutherford's Put Patient First Act, which includes the home grow option over Herb Kurzman's Compassionate Care Act that has the smoking and flower available at dispensaries, but does not have the home grow option. By all means, do that. Or as I'm kind of hoping to do is I'm going to express to my legislators that I prefer the Rutherford Act, but here's another option if they can't see themselves signing on to the Rutherford Act. I think we need to get something moving forward. Let me scroll down, see if there's any other chat in there. So that's where I'm going to pencil into my calendar at the moment is February 3rd. I'll kind of take any of your suggestions or advice on that. But I think that puts us again a little bit prior to some of the medical bills. And that gives me a little time to see if any movement's going on with these other bills, which I'm not anticipating a whole lot of movement on unless voters really, really, really push it. Um, Scheduling meetings. Now, that's something in a virtual lobby day you really can't do. We're not going to the Capitol in Columbia. So we're not going to be able to go from legislators' office to legislators' office. Um, I've never done that for cannabis lobbying. I've done that for some other lobbying, but never for cannabis lobbying. It's kind of interesting and exciting. You kind of go and you sit in an office and, a small group of people that are supporting the same cause in some variant or other. And so, good example for ours is, we might have some people that are really more for decrim, others that are really more for medical, and they could each have an opportunity to kind of discuss and tell their story to the legislator's aid, most likely than the legislator. Um, but there may be the opportunity to actually meet with the legislator as well. Um, so as they're doing, they mentioned here in the scheduling, you want to kind of send an email requesting a meeting, and that's something we probably would have done a week ago or so had we been thinking of doing that, or you want to do that a couple weeks in advance. We're not going to be kind of meeting. We're just going to be kind of calling in and hoping each of us individually doing a call-in type lobbying. So what you'll want to do is ask for the legislator or their aide that is in charge of their marijuana policy, their cannabis policy. I prefer the phrasing of cannabis. Don't need to use inflammatory wording. Um, But I have found at times when you use the word cannabis, people don't exactly know what you're talking about. And then you go marijuana, go, oh, okay, now I know what you mean. Um, Publicizing the event, now that's something that we would ask all of our supporters, all of our followers and volunteers to help with. We pretty strongly are trying to promote a lot of stuff through our Facebook, our Instagram, and our Twitter account. We haven't gotten banned from Twitter yet or any of the accounts. We also do have a YouTube channel where, matter of fact, our meetings like tonight's are broadcast live. Um, so we want to publicize the event, and we've been using. Actually, Kristen found this or told me about it, and I've seen there are some others besides, but we're using an app called Buffer.com. We're using a free variant of it, and what's nice with that is it allows us to schedule posts to up to 3 different social media accounts at the same time. And just kind of schedule them in there, pop them ahead. So there might be one day I've got a whole bunch of stuff on my mind. I can go, oh yeah, we'll schedule this. We'll talk about that. Oh, meeting's coming up here. We'll put that one in, and I can put them all in a buffer, and it works as a buffer, and we'll hold it there until it's time to um, post it to your social media accounts. So that has been kind of has been very beneficial for helping me keep up with our Instagram and our Twitter accounts, because I may go and look at them if I see people are sort of commenting or liking on posts that we made, but otherwise I don't as much. And who knows what's going on with social media today, where people are migrating to who knows where. But publicize our event. So that's what we'll do. We've also been trying to step up our activity on our blog at normalsc.org. And again, with um, people going to Facebook jail, cannabis advocates getting banned, and their accounts closed on Facebook and other social media. We are trying to direct more people to our website and to our blog, and we're trying to get that a little bit more informative and worked on. They have here create a Facebook event, and as you we often will create a Facebook event that will direct you to our Action Network RSVP system. But again, And the other thing that we can do is in our Action Network, um, create a reminder email, which is the next one down, send emails, a reminder email to participate in our lobby days and where the scripts are and what to say a little bit, that kind of stuff. Um, and we can always add these to national normals event calendars. Lobby day event materials, of course, there are things scheduled for the events. You want to kind of have your legislative agenda one pager. Uh, we are not doing a one pager that we're leaving behind, but what we may be able to do is also create these scripts as a PDF type thing where you can print them out and then follow up with the legislator in a thank you letter, which we'll sort of touch base on a little bit later. Um, Highlighting the key talking points and mailed it off to them as well. Um, if you have any kind of letters or testimony from constituents, we want to kind of include that to the legislator. Any supporting evidence, and you can use the fact sheets that are out on Normal National, any legislative studies. I know that we've talked a little bit here about a lot of new research that's been going on. I do not have a good source for a library of that. So if anybody has something like that that they could share with me at some point down the line, I'd appreciate that very much. Um, Again, we're not doing a physical lobby day, so we're not having speakers coming out and all that kind of fun stuff. Participation again is going to be here's where again some of the things won't apply. You can pretty much on a phone call dress any way you want. For our phone calls here, I like to put a little suit coat on, and I still have my fuzzy bunny slippers on down below the desk. Shh, don't tell anybody. Uh, let me just kind of quick skim over this. Yeah, fun stuff we can't do. That I would be take a photo of the member with the staffer, or you or the member of the legislature. Is do some selfies or take a group photo with it with the legislator, because that's great for follow up to our social media accounts after the fact. So that we're not going to have an opportunity by doing a virtual type event. But we do want to get some feedback forms together and questions to pass out to our anybody that may participate in it. So we will probably set up a registration on our Action Network account for people that are planning to participate, just so we can know who they are and follow up with the feedback forms. And then, of course, they're talking about wrap-up events, and the one big thing is thanking the participants. So that, again, is where having an RSVP type event will benefit us on getting back and thanking you all for participating, giving you all a place to send back your feedback forms so that we can learn for next time. And the big thing to me, really, for the lobby day on this particular virtual type thing is to do the follow-up. Send thank yous or emails to the offices for taking the time to listen to your phone call. I think I've mentioned this before. One of the tips that I've heard repeatedly from legislators is they tend to give a little bit more credence to handwritten letters. So even if you're sending them like a one sheet with your follow up, maybe take just a little post-it note, or not a post-it note as much as a note card, and write a little handwritten, couple of sentences, a paragraph, or something like that. If you need, we will then have some samples of letters here. You'll see some samples that they have in this particular form. And Kristen, if you'd like, I can actually share this with you, I believe. Yeah, I see a share button. Here's one for the scheduling. Here's one for, the confirmation and spreadsheet. None of those are really what we're looking for. We're looking more for the thank you follow-up. But we'll probably do something along those lines. I'm going to unshare here again, so you can see my smiling face. And that's kind of the stuff I wanted to cover tonight about lobbying. Let's see. I just got another new message in here. Well, Bob's saying we should see what National Normal thinks about the proposed 5-year felony. They're not going to like it. We are a citizen uh, lobbying group or advocacy group. We lobby for citizenry. We don't think anybody should be locked up for marijuana. Um, you know, National is not the one that's necessarily active here in South Carolina. So, um, although they give us guidance and they can give us suggestions, yeah, that would be one of the things that they would say. Sure, we tentatively support, but we believe that it needs amending. Um, I can't speak for the other organizations. I know that, again, uh, Normal is more of a civil rights, civil liberties organization. I know some of the organizations like MPP are looking to benefit businesses. We're only looking to benefit the citizens in any way we can. And so I can't, I really can't talk to them about it, for them about it. Maybe you've got a little bit of insight you can share with us on that. As far as lobbying days, which again was what our main subject is tonight. Any suggestions on how y'all think we might be able to persuade legislators to support marijuana legislation in South Carolina besides maybe an oyster roast? At least that's a low country thing here, the oyster roast. Well, as far as then state level legislation goes, until we see anything, better, I think, these are, we're kind of have to deal with the legislation that is submitted. Um, Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get the best medical marijuana bill in the country. Um, and excuse me, the the thing about lobbying is to let the legislators know your feelings on different issues. And by all means, if folks feel that uh, these things need to be amended, that's why there's the hearings. That's why there's the processes in place so that when you're doing your lobbying, when you're making your phone calls to your legislators, when you're writing to them, make it very clear to them that you do not agree with certain aspects of the legislation that you believe that should be amended. And if they're your personal, legislator in your area, say that you would hope that they will be the one to step forward and actually suggest that amendment to at the hearing. Um, um, Sorry about that. I was trying to figure out what was going on over there. Let me double check another thing. I'm getting a message on this side. Oh, that's not what I thought it was. And let me just check this other message here. Okay. Nothing exciting. So, now I must admit, I've seen quite a bit today on, not quite a bit, a couple of comments that came in today because I was promoting our conversation tonight. And the comments were coming in saying, hey, I'll talk, but nothing seems to ever happen. And I wish I could agree with him, but I really can't agree with him. I think things do happen. Just for an example, the MORE Act passed the House um, in December. It's being redrafted. It'll be resubmitted in the new legislature. Um, and once the inauguration happens on the 20th, we'll have a majority in the Senate. It gives us some hope that maybe at least the MORE Act can see a vote. And I don't know, Jolie, you said you'd be following up. I don't know if that means you're leaving us. If you are, but bye. Thank you for joining us. If not, appreciate you following up with us on information that you have on the decrim process. We really do. But anyway, and even at the state level, are we moving forward quickly? Hell no. But did we get the medical marijuana legislation to remove that 50% of all the sales tax go to SLED in the 46 County Sheriff's Office? Apparently, you all made enough noise about it. I mean, I can't take credit for it. You all are the ones that are doing it. You're the ones that are commenting on Tom Davis's posts or that kind of thing. Bob, we had talked about the bill last week and the week before, I believe. Matter of fact, last week we were talking about an interview that Joe Swing did with it. We can't quite talk about the bill every week. But yeah, that last week and the week before, we're talking about some of the details of it. Jolie, if I remember, I'll send you a reminder again next week to come and join us. We appreciate you joining. This is the new link for 2021, so we'll be having these conversations every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. So thank you again for joining us. We really appreciate that. Yeah, so even at the state level, and it's getting discussed. Some people say, well, your talk is cheap. Apparently I'm poor because, or not apparently, but the fact of the matter is I'm poor. I can only really afford talk. And, I mean, we were actually talking, and I don't see Joey on tonight. We were talking about going up to Columbia for a lobby days, but, my health hasn't been the best for the entire past year. And I hate travel. So I was kind of apprehensive on that anyway. And at one point, he had mentioned that he would drive, and I'm like, well, geez, that's a good idea. But we're seeing that these virtual lobby days are really probably more. We can get more people to participate than we could get to pile into a car or a minivan or a bus or slow boat to Columbia. So that's my hope is we can actually get more participation and reach out to more legislators by doing it as a virtual lobby day than actually trying to, pull up our bootstraps and get to Columbia and go knocking on doors. And I don't know how much of a benefit that is. I know earlier in some of our conversations about lobbying and the new legislature which just started here in South Carolina yesterday, that I wanted to send out some of the emerging clinical applications books. They are on our website. They're listed at $10 a piece. I'm going to spend a couple of bucks and send them out to my local legislators that I already know. I gave one to Sandy Sen a couple of years ago, but I'm going to send her another one. And unfortunately, they are only up to they only cover research through 2017 or up to 2017. But it's what I got, so I'm going to start sending them out. If any of you would like us to send one to your legislator, they are listed on our website, and in the notes you can just put the name and address of your legislator where you want us to send it, and you can even include a note to them if you'd like, or you can have us send it to us and you can include it with your letter directly to them. So that's just a little something extra we're going to send them. I think just sometimes if we can give them little bits of nudging. It was interesting. I gave one to Joe Cunningham a couple years back. And then I'm going to say a month later, I was at another meeting from his office, and he wasn't there, but do I have the name here yet? His senior field representative was there, and or one of the senior reps. I don't know how many there might be. Um, and I started discussing cannabis again with him, and he goes, "Oh yeah, I was reading some of the book that you gave us, a month ago or whatever, and I found it very interesting." Um, no, she probably won't read it, but you, you got to try. Yeah, sometimes I think a lot of our money is kind of, and her office is close enough. I could probably, well, I was going to say bicycle to it, but if you know the area, you'd probably get hit by a car. And a lot of traffic. Yeah, I could drop it off and save the pack and save the postage, but I want to send it to um, her Columbia office. So, will she read it? Who knows? Even if she does, will she believe it? Probably not. And the sad part in my eyes is we had a chance to change a lot of that in November, and it changed the wrong way, in my opinion, as far as the cannabis issue is concerned. Um, let's see. I don't want to meander on too much about it. Anybody else have anything they want to throw in about lobbying, or things we might want to also include in our lobby day, or our lobby day follow up? And all right, we will keep you posted on when we kind of get the phone scripts drafted up, and as we're getting our lobby day scheduled up for, I'll call it February 3rd. Otherwise, I'm going to kind of wrap it up for this evening. Keep an eye on your news. Contact your legislators about supporting legislation. Again, today, or yesterday was their first day officially in starting the legislature, so they should be back in and working. Um, let's get on them. And I'm going to kind of say this, as I mentioned to a couple people earlier this week. Advice I got from advocates at National, especially when talking about the MORE Act back in end of November, early December for the vote, is um, if you've contacted your legislator about this issue, do it again. And if you've done it again, do it one more time. We can't count on them to remember from day to day that our supporters are out here wanting change and reforming marijuana laws. So the best we can really do is contact them over and over again. Um, I mean, I don't know what will happen as we move forward, but I got to admit, I think it was within a week or two of the election. I even saw Lindsey Graham say, oh, yeah, he supported medical marijuana. I'm sure that's changed now that the election's over, but he said it. Can you believe it? We have a long road to hoe here in South Carolina. We really do. I wish it was as easy as people think, and I wish I was one of those. What do they call them? Paid lobbyists. I wouldn't mind that, but nobody wants to pay me for it. I'm doing this out of my own obsession with cannabis. So let's see who we can get to join us on these lobby days and moving forward and contacting our legislators by phone, by email, by letter, by carrier pigeon, if you know how to do that. Smoke signals be kind of cool, especially for cannabis lobbying, smoke signals. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to go there. I'm going to call it an evening, folks. Thank you for joining me. It's now almost 7:50. We will see you back here next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Same bat time, same bat station. Thanks for joining me, man. See you soon.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Matt.